in the world just happened? Is she gonna be okay?
Did you just kiss my daughter? The billionaire roared. The chauffeur froze, his hands trembling, his heart pounding. It wasn't like that, sir, he whispered. I had to. She wasn't breathing. The silence that followed was louder than thunder, because what started as an act of saving a life was about to change everyone's lives forever. Daniel Cole had never imagined his life would come to this. Working as a private driver for one of the richest families in the city. Once, he'd been an engineer, but after his wife died of illness, he gave up everything to raise his little girl, Sophie, now 8 years old. She was the reason he kept breathing. She was his joy in a world that had forgotten kindness. Every morning, he drove luxury cars he'd never afford. Every night, he returned to a tiny one-bedroom apartment where Sophie waited with homework and instant noodles. He worked hard, quietly, humbly, for her. That's why. When the company assigned him to drive Ava Langford, the only daughter of billionaire Richard Langford, Daniel accepted without question. Ava was known everywhere, young, glamorous, impossible to please. She had bodyguards, stylists, and a reputation for arrogance. Daniel only hoped to stay invisible, do his job, stay polite, and keep his distance, but fate doesn't always knock. Sometimes, it crashes straight into your life. It happened on a rainy Thursday evening. Daniel was driving Ava home from a charity gala. She sat in the back seat, scrolling her phone, barely glancing up. The storm outside grew worse, thunder roaring, wipers struggling. Suddenly, a truck swerved into their lane. Daniel jerked the wheel, tires screeching. The car spun out of control, slamming into the guardrail. Then, silence. Rain poured through the cracked windshield. Daniel groaned, clutching his shoulder. Ava. He called. No answer. He turned. Her face was pale, her lips blue. She wasn't breathing. Panic surged through him. He unbuckled her seatbelt, checked her pulse. Nothing. Come on, breathe, he whispered, his voice cracking. Please, breathe. With trembling hands, he leaned down and gave her mouth to dash. Mouth. One breath. Two. Nothing. On single quotes. Do you dare die? He whispered desperately, his tears mixing with rain. You're not dying today. On the third breath, she gasped. Her chest rose. Her eyes flew open. Daniel collapsed in relief, whispering, Thank God. Then the world spun again, flashing lights, sirens, chaos. When Ava woke up in the hospital, her father was standing over her, furious. What happened? She murmured weakly. Before Daniel could explain, Richard cut in. I'll tell you what happened. My driver kissed you. Ava frowned. What? He kissed you in the car. Richard barked. You were unconscious, and he took advantage of you. Daniel's heart sank. Sir, that's not true. She wasn't breathing enough. Richard shouted. You're fired. And if you ever come near my daughter again, I'll destroy you. Ava looked between them, her father's rage, Daniel's pain, confusion clouding her face. Before she could speak, Daniel turned quietly toward the door. I didn't do it for money or fame, he said softly. I did it because life is precious. Even yours. Then he left. Weeks passed. Ava recovered, but something inside her felt different. She couldn't forget the image of the man's trembling hands, the panic in his voice, the sincerity in his eyes. She'd always believed everyone around her cared only for her wealth. But that man, Daniel, had risked his life for her. She began asking around quietly, but no one knew much. He quit the company after the incident. Then one afternoon, while scrolling through charity reports, she saw a name that made her stop. Sophie Cole, age 8, scholarship recipient, Langford Foundation School. Her foundation had been paying for his daughter's tuition. Without realizing it, she was connected to him all along, driven by guilt and curiosity. Ava went to the school unannounced. She watched from a distance as Daniel picked Sophie up after class, holding an umbrella over her head, smiling through exhaustion. He looked nothing like the man her father had described. No greed, no deceit. Just a father trying to survive. Sophie noticed her and waved shyly. "Hi, you're the lady from Daddy's picture." Daniel turned. His expression froze. "Ava?" She smiled nervously. "I wanted to thank you for saving my life." He hesitated. "You don't owe me anything, ma'am." "I do," she said softly. "You lost your job because of me." He shook his head. "I lost my job because your father doesn't believe people like me can be good." Her eyes softened. "Then let me prove him wrong." Over the next few weeks, Ava began visiting Sophie's school anonymously, sponsoring programs, donating books, helping Daniel find better work. But what started as guilt slowly became something deeper. She found herself drawn to the quiet strength Daniel carried. The way he looked at the world with gratitude instead of bitterness, and Sophie, with her innocent smile and endless questions, filled a void Ava didn't know she had. For the first time in years, she felt real. One night, Ava confronted her father. "Dad, you were wrong about him," she said firmly. Richard looked up from his desk. "That man kissed you. He saved me," Ava said sharply. "I wasn't breathing." The doctors confirmed it. "He performed CPR." Her father frowned. "And his daughter, she's on our foundation scholarship list." "You didn't even ask for help." For the first time, Richard's expression softened. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I think it's time you meet a man who saved your daughter, not with money, but with courage." The next morning, Richard Langford's car pulled up outside Daniel's small apartment. Daniel opened the door. Confused to see Ava and her father standing there, Richard took a deep breath. "Mr. Cole, I owe you an apology." Daniel blinked. "Sir, I was wrong," Richard said simply. "You saved my daughter's life." "I judged you without listening." Daniel smiled faintly. "You were protecting her." "Any father would have done the same." Richard nodded slowly, his pride melting into respect. Ava smiled at Sophie. "Hey, remember me?" Sophie giggled. "You're the lady Daddy saved." Ava laughed. "Something like that." Then, turning to Daniel, she said softly, "What happened that night changed everything for me." He looked at her curiously. "How so?" "Because it reminded me," she said, "that sometimes the poorest hearts give the richest love." Months later, Daniel became head of security for the Langford Foundation, with full benefits, a home, and safety for his daughter. Ava started working alongside him on charity projects, often visiting orphanages and hospitals together. Sophie began calling her Miss Ava, though sometimes she slipped and said Mom. Each time she did, Ava's eyes glistened, and Daniel's heart skipped a beat, because from that one moment of selfless courage, 3 lives were forever changed. He was just a driver trying to survive. She was a billionaire who forgotten what love looked like. One breath changed everything, and proved that humanity still lives where you least expect it. Comment courage if this story touched your heart. Tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe for more cinematic stories about kindness, love, and second chances.